Hi, everybody. Mitch Tannenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today for the Security News Update. Under security and privacy alerts, after getting outed, but not before, Microsoft has decided that they're going to stop using Chinese engineers to support DOD systems. These are not classified systems, but they are high-impact systems, what's known as impact level 4 and 5 systems. The way it works under this contract, which was signed under the first Trump administration, is that the Chinese engineers are assigned a babysitter. And unfortunately, that's what they are. They're babysitters, because it'd be way too expensive to assign a knowledgeable U.S. engineer, because if they did that, then there wouldn't be any reason to go off and save the money by using Chinese labor instead of U.S. labor. So they do have a babysitter. These babysitters are U.S. citizens. They do have a security clearance, but they're not knowledgeable enough to know whether the Chinese are putting backdoors in the system or what they're doing. In fact, one of these folks said, we're trusting that what they're doing isn't malicious, but we really can't tell. So now that this is the, as I like to say, the caca has hit the rotating air movement device, or the poops hit the fan, Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, said, oh, yeah, we're going to go investigate. Well, how come you didn't investigate all this waste, fraud, and abuse prior to you getting outed? It's not like the DOD didn't know this was going on. And the Senate is supposedly going to investigate. And Microsoft said, we stopped using Chinese engineers right after the article came out. What they haven't said, and no evidence that they are, is whether they're going to stop using foreigners, non-U.S. citizens. That they haven't said, and my guess is if they can avoid that, they're not going to use U.S. citizens because the labor is more expensive. But the Pentagon doesn't believe in Buy America. They believe in buy cheap. So, end of the editorial. In the CMMC section, as I always do, I'm going to focus on one item, which is paper CUI. Paper CUI greatly complicates things. I know a lot of cases you just don't have any choice. You're going to have paper CUI, but if you can avoid it, you can greatly simplify things. And, if you have questions about that, give us a call and we'll be happy to discuss what the implications are. Your assessment is going to be more expensive. Your process is going to be more convoluted. There's just a lot of downside to it. In the reference department, United Natural Foods, UNFI, has admitted that they're going to lose they did lose about $400 million in sales revenue as a result of the cyber attack they had last month. That's going to translate to about $50 to $60 million in lost income, some of which will be covered by insurance. But I think the bigger issue for them is going to be, and they're not talking about this yet, probably in part because they don't know them, probably because they don't want to scare off investors. How many of their customers have now decided that this is a single point of failure? So there are other distributors, and we're going to split between UNFI and other distributors so that if somebody has a cyber attack, we're not left with nothing on the shelves. If that happens, and I predicted that will happen at least to some degree, they will lose revenue permanently. In the patches department, Cisco one more time gets a perfect 10. They seem to get a lot of perfect 10s. I don't understand. Perfect 10s are not a good thing to get when it comes to patches. This is a critical patch, a 10 out of 10 in their identity services engine. This is an update from 2 patches from last month, which were also 10s. So it allows unauthenticated remote hackers to run arbitrary code with root privileges. So it's and there's no workaround apparently. This one with the other 2 from last month doesn't make a great day for Cisco. DOD got a bonus, $250 million a year over the next 4 years in the new tax and spend bill. While it sounds like a lot, this is 0.03%, so 0.03% of DOD's 2025 budget. And if we look at what the losses were last year from cybercrime. It was 9.5 trillion. So that's 0.02% of the losses. So it's not going to have a big impact. I'm sure they can do some targeted stuff as all that. Also remember that CISA is likely to lose $500 million. So plus $250 million, minus $500 million, says we're still down $250 million in funding to cyber from where we were last year. There is a bug, and it is a bit of a whopper in Windows Server 2025. It allows hackers to generate passwords for every managed service account in the system in the entire Active Directory forest. There is no fix for it. It is a architectural problem, and hackers can go off and create passwords for these accounts and also create a backdoor, the researchers said. So we'll see what happens with Microsoft and how quickly they can patch it. I mean, the good news is that a lot of people haven't moved to Server 2025. Probably if you haven't, but in the plans, you probably ought to go off and say, let's kind of put that on pause for a little bit to see what Microsoft does. Under legislative and legal, Colorado AI Act goes into effect next February. Violations could cost you $20,000 a pop. It regulates what they call high-risk AI, which some examples of that are things like hiring people, firing people, stuff like that. Those are just two examples. And if you use a system, whether it's internally developed at third party and it uses AI, and more easy for me to say, more third-party systems do use AI, then you need to make sure that you're doing all the things. And there's a lot of work to be done if you're going to use those systems and use the AI features. If you need help with that, let us know. In education, everybody's moving to AI for software development, or at least, using it to whatever degree they do. One study just revealed that for experienced developers working in code that they're familiar with, AI actually increased the development time by 19%. So it's not a silver bullet. It has lots of useful things, but it's not a silver bullet. In the breaches department, Louis Vuitton says that they suffered a cyber attack that affected customers in multiple countries. The U.S. does not appear to be one of those at the moment, subject to change. And here's a big surprise, shocker, in fact. They released a press release that said it was a third-party service provider that was at fault here. Well, you picked the damn third-party service provider, so that means you're at fault. Sorry. Nice try and trying to deflect it, but I get you exactly zero credit, and I don't think it's going to deflect the class action lawsuits that are going to happen. The Seychelles Commercial Bank was hacked. That is a tax haven. The hackers sold the data. All right, didn't take very long. I wonder why that is. And I am sure they're going to use that to blackmail people. I am sure that everybody who has money in that island is reporting their money to the IRS and reporting their income from that money. I'm sure they're doing that. Not. And as a result of that, that's now in the hands of the hackers, and I'm sure that they're going to go off and attempt, successfully or otherwise, to blackmail these people. Maryland dermatology practice and separately a Virginia imaging practice lose control of information on 3 million patients. The Maryland practice is the Anne Arundel dermatology practice. They have locations, and they have like 100 different patient care locations in 7 states. And the Virginia company is Radiology Associates of Richmond. They work with 7 different Virginia hospitals. And the Anne Arundel dermatology company is already facing 9 proposed class action lawsuits. So wouldn't want to be them. Next, we have profits over safety. Gee, that's a surprise, huh? Shocker. The American rail industry has known about a vulnerability in a train control system called FRED. It allows the engineer in a locomotive to communicate with the last car in the train what used to be Caboose, and see what's going on back there, and also apply the brakes. The potential effect of this is that a hacker with about, I don't know, $100 in parts maybe could go off and derail both freight trains and passenger trains. Now that it is really public, this has been around for 20 years. The industry has been avoiding fixing it because it's like 25,000 systems that need to be replaced with something more secure. The Department of Transportation has known about this for years and years. They've chosen to basically side with the industry and say, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Yeah, there's no problem here. Now, I'm sure they're going to get hit with lawsuits, and the industry now says they're going to go fix it. How long it's going to take them is not clear. Google, Amazon, others make money from those very scummy Nudify applications. Those are the ones where you can upload a photo, and it will remove the clothes from the person and let you download the result. This is often used by teenage boys to harass teenage girls that they would like to harass. But the problem is that companies like Amazon and Google and the credit card companies, they all make money from this. So, as long as they make more money than it costs them by leaving these things up, they're not going to take them down. There is a law that was just signed, the Take It Down law, and that may help a little bit. I'm not sure exactly how much it'll help, but it might help a little bit. But certainly shining a lighter bay that these guys are taking profit over, protecting kids. And that's a lot of who gets hit with these things is high school and college girls, typically, who get harassed by, bullied by high school and college boys. So we'll see what happens there. But now that we're starting to shine a light of day on it, maybe that will make these companies who are always worried about their public image a little bit less willing to go participate in a billion here, a billion there. After a while, it adds up. Expression from former Senator Everett Dirksen. Crypto thieves have stolen more than $2 billion in crypto so far this year in the first 6 months of the year. That's more than all of last year. So this could, stack up to be $3 or $4 billion by the end of the year. The biggest beneficiary of this is North Korea. Big surprise there. It's how they fund the government. People just keep buying into this crypto stuff, and they don't understand that the security in this crypto stuff is often horrible, and there is no insurance for it. So maybe the companies are willing to go off and make you whole. In a lot of cases, they are, but sometimes they don't have the funds to go do that. So, and in the news bites, the Dodge staffer leaked an X-API key. In fact, it was amongst the large language models that were available under this key was the one that Grok uses. Curiously, they did not revoke the key. It was in GitHub, which is a lot of times where we see this sensitive stuff that doesn't belong there. So they took it, removed it from GitHub, but they didn't revoke the key. I don't know whether that's because they're stupid or because they think that it's easier not to revoke the key, which is probably a hassle. But that means anybody that downloaded or saved the key can still use it because it hasn't been revoked. I think that the fact that Microsoft was using Chinese engineers to support sensitive DOD systems until they got outed is the tip of the iceberg. So we'll see what goes on there. I'm guessing other folks will admit to doing that. Reading terms of service can be very important. One recently came up where a company said that, oh yeah, anything you upload, we reserve the right to feed it into our AI training engine. And oh yeah, if you upload an image or photo or picture or something, we get to use that as part of the training base and create derivative pictures from it. When they got outed that was in there, all hell broke loose, and they said, "Oh, we were just kidding." And so They changed their terms of service back. TikTok Global, which is the U.S. subsidiary of TikTok, is suing ByteDance for $58 billion over the sales that they rigged the deal so they couldn't buy the U.S. rights. China is, China has been twisting the knife into the president over rare earth elements. And as a result of that, some of the buyers are resorting to basically illegally buying rare earth elements because the alternative is to shut down their business. And China find out about that, and they're not happy. So, can they eliminate it? No, I don't think they can eliminate it. But can they clamp it down? Yeah, I think they definitely can. And they said that there were some Chinese citizens, which they said were doing things that were illegal, which they probably were. And in China, that probably means they're going to execute you. Meta investors, no surprise here, settled with Zuckerberg. I don't think he had a choice. The case was just about to go to trial they were looking for $8 billion. This is in the old breaches never die. This is from Cambridge Analytica from 2018. Zuckerberg settled with the feds for $5 billion. That the company paid. Zuck did not pay that. And the investors are saying that, well, that's money basically he stole from them, and they want it back along with interest and other stuff. So that was about $8 billion. The problem for Mark would have been that he would have had to testify, and that probably would not have been great. The lawsuit was, and also Sheryl Sandberg would have had to testify. That would not have been great for Zuck. The PR value is really, really bad. And we don't know the details yet. I'm sure it'll leak out in time, but we don't know yet. But, if that's coming out of, now obviously for Zuckerberg, losing $5 billion is a small part of his overall fortune. So that probably, while it will annoy the hell out of him, it probably won't change his spending habits much. But still, it did get settled. And lastly, as I keep, hammering on this drum, vendor risk management should be high on your priority list. Whether, you're talking about Microsoft and them using Chinese engineers, or whether you're talking about, all these other things that I've talked about. Louis Vuitton saying that it was a third-party service provider that compromised their systems. You're still liable. You're the one who's going to get sued. So if you don't have a robust third-party risk management system, we'll be happy to help you set one up. Until next time, if you have questions, please reach out to us. Otherwise, stay safe and tune in next time. Take care.